town for 2 days, and it wasn't long enough.
For long enough for what?
I was at a funeral, and I still wish I was there instead of here.
You'd rather be at a funeral than in the same room with me.
Yeah, what's with all that? Why are you so happy?
Why would I be happy?
You got pep in your step. I don't know why you'd be happy. That's why I want to know why you're happy. You're dancing around like a little leprechaun.
What are you talking about? You're making shit up. I think the audience knows me well enough to know that would never happen. I may sound like a leprechaun. I guess I don't look like a leprechaun.
Will you say it for me?
What? I'm a leprechaun?
I'm a little leprechaun.
I'm a little teapot, short and stout.
No, you said, I'm a little leprechaun.
Yeah, that was way long ago on Film Reverie. When I was so miserable on those shows that we had to spend 45 minutes coming up with things to get me out of the shit mood. So I would be like, oh, I'm a little leprechaun. Oh, look at me. Oh, and then eventually... But it was fake until we got to a real point to where it was stupid. And then it was funny. That's how miserable I was in the past. Would you believe I'm less miserable?
Yeah, in the past. Yeah, it's way, way back there. Like 5 minutes ago.
Speaking of the past, I got rid of my gourd. You remember gourd from Ralph Breaks the Internet?
Yeah, I thought that was funny.
I decided that was what I would, because it looked a lot like my little brother that on my arm.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I had surgery Friday.
Yeah.
And finally got rid of the
it was the size of a
gourd.
It was the size of a acorn.
Eyeball.
Like an acorn sticking out of your arm.
I thought it was like an eyeball.
Yeah.
An eyeball with eyeballs. Which is why gourd is perfect, because it always it seemed like it was always looking up at me, and it never spoke. Did you see that long arm that grew out?
That's what I'm saying. You seem to be feeling better after surgery.
Well, maybe it's because I think I'm actually semi-dateable now that I don't have a
I wouldn't go so far.
Vestigial twin on my arm.
I wouldn't go so far as that. A vestigial twin.
I didn't say all the way dateable or 100%. I said somewhat.
Yeah, you need to work on your pitch, motherfucker.
I'm
somewhat dateable. Can I have your number?
Look, my arms are shaved for the surgery.
Oh, yeah.
See? I'm somewhat. Now, wait. Now, if I'm somewhat, then that's like a fraction of a percent.
That's less
dateable.
Than somewhat.
Yeah, see? A fraction of a percent dateable.
Yeah.
I think that's fair to say.
Yeah. Well, here's to hoping.
I think that's half the battle, is to feel that you're dateable. Because you have to love yourself for other people to love you, right?
Is that why all these ugly people are getting together? They feel dateable?
The fugly people?
They feel dateable?
See, that's what I'm saying. I got rid of some of my fuglies. I got my teeth fixed and gourd is gone. Now, if you could just get rid of me, I'm your gourd.
I'd feel dateable if I could just get rid of you.
Yeah, you can't bring anyone home to this.
What the fuck is that? It's just Brad. That's just how he is.
I'll send him to his room if you want.
So, welcome to Movieisms. This is
another typical begrudging episode of Movieisms where we'd rather be laying down and watching movies than talking about them.
I would not. Don't say we would rather be laying down and watching movies.
Well, come on. We both had a crappy weekend.
Yeah, but I'm not laying down with you.
No, I did. Okay, that will never happen.
When you say we,
not even in a planes, trains, and automobiles type situation, that will never
those aren't
ever happen. I did that once with my dad, and he was on sleeping medication, and he was having some kind of dream, and started groping me. So I know what that scene in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is like because it happened to me with my dad, which is worse. It's just the one time I was not...
Just the one time?
I was not abused.
How old were you?
I don't know, really. Like 10 maybe, or 8? I have no idea.
Brad, it's traumatizing for me to have heard that. I can't imagine.
He was in so much pain, he had to take an experimental sleeping pill to sleep and mistook me for a romantic interlude in his dream life.
Wherever people go when they die, your dad is there right now saying, Brad, would you please shut the fuck up? You're ruining it for me up here right now.
That's okay. That's probably going to end up in the movie about my dad. I feel like in the afterlife, when people you love pass on, that they have more of an understanding. Like, I don't think that they go to the other side with the same hang-ups they did before they passed. I feel like he'll be like...
No, man, it's all free love up there.
I feel like they have a different perspective.
Yeah.
So, but when it comes to that story, he might still... No! Why? Okay.
Why?
That would be fun.
Why are you telling the experimental sleeping drug groping story? Why? That was mine.
It was nobody's fault. He never took it again. After I told him what happened.
Well, if he takes it, just put him in bed with your mom. Don't get in bed with him.
It was after the divorce.
Yeah, but you have a stepmom. Was it in between marriages? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There was a long time in between marriages. And then there was the evil stepmom phase where she tried to get rid of me. But we won't get into that.
I fully understand that notion.
Yeah, I had a tragic childhood, and it'll be a great movie one day. But we have a podcast to record.
Where's the evil stepmother face when she tried to get rid of me?
Yeah. Why is all that coming up? I don't know. Perhaps I need therapy.
Quite possibly, you might be a few cards deck of a card short of a full deck, Brad.
But that's what makes the show fun.
You might be working against the odds.
That's one of our story things in Heroes, right?
Yeah.
The underdog against all odds. That's me. Every day.
Every day.
All right, the show's never gonna start. Okay, so I can't think of a segue.
So the family film we just watched.
Much as my body is broken, the internet was broken today by Ralph.
Ralph.
Ralph breaks the internet.
So we saw the much anticipated sequel to Wreck-It Ralph, which I loved, the first movie.
Yeah.
Today, and I did not know what I wanted or what I was expecting or what to expect because the trailers for this movie never really sold me on it. I was worried that it was going to go too like meta Disney, and I was worried that in their attempt to go meta, that they were really just going to like seem like they were going meta, like they were trying too hard to poke fun at themselves, Disney, you know.
There was shameless.
There was
plugs.
Shameless plugs, and the whole thing worked as a commercial.
Yeah, it was like a, hey, don't forget we have Star Wars too.
Yeah, and I think that ultimately what I was worried about in the movie did not necessarily end up bothering me. I didn't feel like the princess thing, like mostly the princess thing. I did not feel like the princess thing was as obviously poking fun at. They were. It played off well that they were poking fun at themselves a little bit. It played off well. That part wasn't what ended up bothering me about the movie.
We can't talk about it too much, right? Because it's sort of a...
Well, it's just princesses. You know the princess
Well,
thing.
the whole thing about reflecting in the water.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
When you say metaphor, you know, you gotta look in the water and figure out your dreams.
Yeah. The thing, they make a couple of jokes about how true princesses... when they tap into their lizard brain or something, they can just suddenly start creating songs from nowhere.
Yeah.
And Vanellope...
how do you do that?
Is sort of like, she's a princess too. She's a Disney princess too. She's trying to figure out how she fits in. Yeah, basically.
By the way, I was proud of Sarah Silverman for that song because she got to get her sarcasm in there because she sang this beautiful princess song about what was it, something race, the killer race, or it was what was the name of the race?
I don't know.
It was like murder race or something.
Yeah, slaughter race.
Slaughter race.
Yeah.
So she's singing this beautiful princess song, and it's like, beautiful slaughter race. And it was like, I was like, yes. I bet she enjoyed the hell out of making a song about slaughtering people.
What happens is we meet the Wreck-It Ralph character and Vanellope, and they're like living the good life. You know, their games are both working. They get to hang out in the afternoons. They're best friends. They're buddies. Mm-hmm. But and Ralph is fine. He's finally in a good place with himself because the way the first movie ended. Yeah. Right, but Vanellope,
and every day is the same. So
every day is the same, and it's happy. He doesn't have anything to worry about anymore because he basically lived in purgatory for all eternity prior to that.
He's basically a happy controller.
Yeah, and he's happy the way things are because he's finally happy.
Right.
You know, and feels accepted. She, however, is in a place where it's not exciting for her anymore because she just wins every race.
Her game is old. It only has 3 race tracks.
There's only 3 tracks, and there's not really a whole lot of options. It is what it is, and she's asking, isn't there more to life?
Yeah, it's the same, and I guess that's relating to everyone. Yeah. About how you go to the same job or go to the same school every day for kids who are watching.
Yeah.
You know, want something fun and different.
But through a series of...
Well, Ralph.
I don't know. Well,
breaks everything.
Ralph is trying to fix something and help her out, but ends up breaking the thing, which is what he's good at. And then her video game gets broken and is about to get shut down. This is just the premise here. Mm-hmm. And so they realize they need to get to the internet to buy the part, basically, to fix her game so that it doesn't get unplugged and she doesn't cease to exist. So they go to the internet. It's just interesting to me that he suddenly had Wi-Fi on the same... because they just plugged in the Wi-Fi at the very beginning of the movie, right before her video game broke. Couldn't it have already just been there?
Well, then it wouldn't have been the whole interesting... I guess they could have started the movie with it, and then put the tape around it to where you can't go in there, and then there was the call to adventure or the need to explore it. Although she wanted to go just to have something different.
Yeah,
anyway.
something to do. So,
but that doesn't mess up the movie just because of it.
So the movie has a lot of internet jokes and internet puns and making fun of things that are on the internet, like cat videos and memes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which do have their social commentary points. They're funny. The jokes were not bad in this movie. They had some jokes. But in my opinion, the movie, once they get into the internet to start their adventure, it is just one scene after the other where they explore a new joke about the internet.
Yeah.
Like, it's comments like when he sees Google, he says, I guess if we ever need some goggles, we know where to go. And they're just making jokes like that. And then he decides he needs to go viral so that he can raise enough money to buy the part to fix her game. And it's just one joke after the next. It's almost like sketches in between things instead of Wreck-It Ralph had a story. Like, you felt for him from the very first second. Like, from the very first second, he's telling his sob story about how he feels misunderstood. He's in a game where his job is to smash things, but he really doesn't want to be a villain. He's a good guy.
He's a bad guy, and he just wants to be loved.
Yeah, he just wants to be loved. He's like...
I just need to say, I love John C. Reilly.
I love him.
He made the movie... I was laughing at things I wouldn't normally laugh at, but just John C. Reilly.
Is it because you hear Dr. Steve Brule talking sometimes?
I mean, everything is Dr. Steve Brule in this. It's that's why I had a good time. Whether I don't know.
So I didn't dislike the movie. It fell very short from it fell short for me from where the first one was. The Perch of Wreck-It Ralph was one of my favorite CGI movies in a long time when it came out.
Yeah.
It was fun and exciting and inventive. They had things, they came up with things and explained things in their world that made perfect sense, and it also made sense for our world as well. This movie, to me, felt like, well, we better hurry up and get this done so it can be out by Thanksgiving. And it wasn't really inspired in the way that the first Wreck-It Ralph was.
I guess. But I really enjoyed the message that they were trying to get across to kids. And oddly enough, I don't know, I teared up a few times during the movie, and I don't know why. Just like, oh, sweet. I don't know. Because normally I don't have emotions. Right. So all the emotions get interpreted as me tearing up, whether it's joy or sadness or whatever. It's just all... What is this? I
tried to feel something about this movie. I wanted to. I think what I think it is Ralph and Vanellope both annoyed me in this movie. They both irritated me. Instead of endearing themselves to me.
Maybe because I'm a video game person and you're really not.
Yeah, but I loved the first movie and I'm not a video game person.
I really enjoyed the when they went to the internet and they went to the new racing game that was all like Twisted Metal. Yeah. Which is one of my favorite games.
Yeah, but think about it though. That's one scene. That's one scene in this movie, and the rest of it is them walking around and trying to find something.
A lot of it was based around that game, but it was awesome. I really enjoyed that part.
Yeah, but think about it again. That's just one scene where they had like a slaughter race, But everything else is going into the room where you can talk to the guy who's clickbait. And then, what's clickbait? And then they're talking about what clickbait is. Funny. And it was funny that they incorporated the thing in there, but that was the scene. The clickbait thing wasn't the joke to the scene. The clickbait thing was the scene. And then it was another scene where, well, this is where you go to watch viral videos and people... And it just wasn't... there was no excitement to it.
I feel like we're Siskel and Ebert here. I liked how the internet, or like the web page was his rundown trailer that was all trash everywhere. Yeah. And there was a little bug running around that he squished with his feet. Sometimes when I'm working on our website, I feel like that's what it is.
Right. That would be cool.
Gord was great.
That would be good if that wasn't the whole substance of the scene. If that was like the setting of a scene, but that was the scene. Squashing a bug and this and that, and then nothing happens.
I guess.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. I liked the way they sort of interweaved for kids. Hey, guys... Prepare, no matter how much you love your friends or care about your friends. Yeah. This is a part of life. This is going to happen. Yeah. And I even liked, even though it was on the nose, the insecurity virus. Yeah. And copying all of that, which I won't go into too much. Yeah. But I thought in regards to kids and what I think it was designed for, I think it's great for kids.
You know what?
Had a really good lesson.
But by the way, it did. It was good and it was cool. And sometimes you do feel like you outgrow your friends, like you and me. I outgrew you a long time ago.
Or you have friends that go off and get married and then drop you like you're nothing, and then you have no friends anymore.
Yeah, that was about the time I outgrew you.
Because they both get married at the same time.
But, if you'd seen this movie, you would have known you're supposed to be happy for me instead of bitter for 20 years.
Right. See?
So work on that.
I needed this movie.
So work on that.
But yeah, I mean, because life is really shitty today.
But I think that while listening to you talk just then, I think what it is about this movie is they went for I feel like this movie swings for a much younger audience than the first Wreck-It Ralph did.
I do too, yeah.
So, in terms of, like, they knew the parents were going to be there watching the movie, so they had the internet jokes, the clickbait jokes, the Gmail jokes, all that stuff that's in there to amuse the parents in the scenes. But the emotional complexity of the two characters was very singular. Ralph did one thing throughout the whole movie. That was the one thing he did. Vanellope wanted one thing throughout the whole movie. That's what she did. However, in the first movie, if you think about it, Ralph was way more complex. Just the idea of I've been cast as a bad guy, but I'm not a bad guy, and I think I want to quit my game so that I want to go be a hero somewhere. I want people to see me for who I am on the inside. Like, that's much more complicated than you're my friend and I don't want to let go of you now. Like, the whole movie, that's all he ever did. That's the only emotion he expressed. It's the only emotion he ever dealt with, ever. And the only thing she ever did was ponder on, is this all life is? Isn't there something more out there?
Yeah.
And so
she was outgrowing Ralph, needed to go to game college, I guess.
Yeah. And, ultimately she's not outgrowing Ralph because she kept trying to assure him it's not you, it's me, which always sounds like BS, by the way.
That's us.
But she kept saying, no, we're still going to be friends. I just need to go off. I need to do this for myself.
You're breaking up with me, aren't you?
I need to do this for myself. It doesn't mean we won't be friends. It just means that I need to leave this and go try to do something else. And so that's cool, but there was nothing else beneath the surface. They just kept repeating those two things back and forth to each other, and it was boring to me. In a way, the first movie totally was not. I loved the first movie, surprisingly. Disney animated films for a long time were just simple, silly kid entertainment. You put your kid in front of it while you go get on the phone and you want to talk to somebody. You're going to watch this Disney movie. But right about the time Tangled came out, way back, I don't even know how many years ago it was, they became entertaining but also a lot more complicated and more fun. In a way like the Pixar movies always are. And what happened is they put John Lasseter in charge of Walt Disney Animation. And he's sort of an unwanted character these days because of the Me Too thing that had happened. But he really did help turn the Walt Disney Animation Studios around in such a way so they're making good movies about interesting things. And they, like Tangled, they turned the Tangled thing, Rapunzel, they turned that on its head.
Yeah, that reminds me of a couple interesting things that happened in the movie. One was they're trying to break the stereotype of the princesses being saved by the man.
Yeah.
They're all, So it was.
What is that? A big, strong man that needs our saving?
Yeah, and they all came together.
Yeah.
That was funny. Oh man! But I forgot the other thing that I was going to talk about.
Well, they had them admire Vanellope for how different she was, but still a princess. Like they started dressing like her,
comfortable.
For teaching us how to be comfortable, and they thought she was cool for her differences, which was cool.
As you always do, you complained about the movie enough that I remembered something that wasn't quite perfect about the movie.
Okay.
When Ralph wanted to purposefully break the game. Can we say that?
In the very beginning?
Let's say he wanted to break something that Penelope was involved with.
It very much like the first one when he decided when he found out if she dies in the game, she could go away forever. So he went and destroyed her car.
Right.
In the first movie, so that she couldn't race.
Yes.
So in this movie, there's a moment like that.
Yeah, there's a moment like that. So that he goes to get a virus from the dark web, and the guy just gives it to him.
Yeah. That's not how the dark web works.
No. You don't just...
Yeah.
He talked about how dangerous it could be if you let it go. It could destroy the... So, that's the one... I mean, I think kids aren't really analyzing that, but no. For adults, it's like, okay, aren't you going to give him something in return? I don't know. Mm-hmm. He just gave it to him.
I think it's interesting that that's the one thing you had a problem with, because the whole movie had problems from the beginning.
I guess I've just enjoyed it and didn't analyze it.
You're not allowed to just enjoy movies, Brad. You have to think about. You have to overthink.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I think I glitched out. Maybe they broke me.
It is entertaining in parts. It is funny. People did laugh. I really feel like the thing that gets out of hand near the end started out as a good idea, but basically it's folding over on itself. The thing that got way out of it, there was no adventure in it. It was just it's like suddenly it's the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man from what's the name of that movie? Ghostbusters. I'm not saying it's a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, but I'm just saying it's kind of like that but in Ghostbusters, where they're able to point out the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man and how ridiculous it is, this movie is taking their Stay Puft Marshmallow Man seriously, but they don't. It's like they don't ever have to really solve the problem. They just express their thing again, and it ends up just turning over on itself.
I guess it's more emotional than logical.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
I'm fine with an emotional solution to the problem, because the first one had an emotional solution to its problem as well.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember exactly what it was, but
what you said that there was no adventure, but the whole them experiencing the internet as new and
but it's an hour and 50 minutes of them walking around the internet and going, hey, look at this, hey, look at that. It's just drawing attention to the things that they were making jokes about, which could have easily just gone on in the background and we would have still noticed them. But they are literally just walking around from Google to Pinterest to this, and they're just pointing out things. They're like being ironical. They're not being ironical. They're not being ironical.
That's a George Bush word.
They're not being ironical. They're being.
It's not even a word.
They're just pointing out. They're just pointing out how clever they think they're being the whole time. Yeah. From scene to scene to scene, instead of it just being clever.
Everywhere they go and everything they do, Ralph is too big for it. I mean,
stuff like that.
Even though it was still funny.
It was funny.
I enjoyed watching him squeeze him in and everything.
But it was the first time, not the fifth or sixth time.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
He's a big guy. Yes, it's funny. He's big. Like let's shame people for their size now.
Oh. So now the movie's guilty of body shaming. Okay.
Well, the movie made me feel fat.
They did call him fat a few times.
No, but John C. Reilly and Sarah Silverman. Another thing, for a lot of the time, they're not even with each other.
Yeah.
He's over here and she's over there, and they're working kind of against each other. It's like they are their own antagonists, and it just doesn't. The movie doesn't have a real crisis or antagonist.
That is true. There isn't an well. That's because, okay, I guess being self-destructive is the antagonist.
Yeah, but where's the crisis from it? When whatever happens in the end, we won't talk about it, but when whatever happens in the end happens, it is because someone made a poor choice, not because They were trying to solve a problem. Someone just made a poor choice that spiraled out of control.
Yeah, which I think is a good lesson for kids.
Right. However, there's no, like, tension from it. It just happens.
Sounds like you wanted it to be more like the first.
Well, I wanted it to be good like the first one.
It's good
No,
for
I'm
kids.
not. Look,
it's not good for adults necessarily.
Every single Toy Story movie that has ever been made is good.
Oh.
And they're not good because they're like the first one or the second one or the third one.
Well, they got more serious as they went on.
They did. They got more... The emotional strain on the characters got more and more and more.
Now you got me wanting to go off on a tangent because I want to talk about the trailers now.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, the Toy Story trailers, yes. Go ahead. So there's a new one. There's the one that everyone's seen already. The one that the teaser that's out on the internet.
I haven't seen it yet.
Which I complained to you about a week or two ago.
And when I saw it,
you knew exactly what I was talking about.
Well, I forgot. But when I saw the spoon, at first I was like, well, it works because he says, I don't belong here. And I'm, okay. I buy that, but then it keeps going, and then they do this
slow motion falling thing. But why is that a trailer we need to see?
Yeah, they could have just cut it off with the "I don't belong."
Why is any of it a trailer we need to see?
I wasn't sold on the spoon.
It's like, hey, there's another Toy Story movie. Why don't you just?
And now we have a spoon with strings on. I didn't have confidence that would make it more interesting.
I looked at my daughter who was sitting there, and I looked at her and I said, this is what's making me nervous about the next Toy Story movie. But they had another trailer that came out
that totally saved its ass.
Yes.
If you've seen Key and Peele from Comedy Central.
Is that who they are?
Yeah,
that's Key and Peele. Okay. I was trying to figure out where I recognize his voice.
Liam Neeson's. Oh, that's my jam.
Hey, Aaron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, freaking love everything Key and Peele. So they were both, one was a bunny bear, I guess, and the other was a small little
Some
bird.
sort of something, yeah.
At a carnival.
Bird,
they were little toys at a carnival.
Yeah, like the kind of toys you would win at a carnival.
What movie were they talking about?
They were talking about Toy Story.
Oh, right.
It's another Toy Story. Did you see the Toy Story trailer?
Yeah.
And then they're like, yeah, we saw that. And then one of them said, to infinity. Then they were trying to get the Infinity and Beyond line right.
And Blonde.
Yeah. And then the Woody.
Indemnity and Beyond.
Yeah, so Woody and Buzz come out and say, no, guys, you're getting it all wrong. It's to Infinity and Beyond.
Yeah, and they said, do you even know science?
Yeah, they said,
you can't go to infinity.
You can't go to infinity, and you definitely can't go beyond infinity. You don't know how science works.
Yeah.
Which was at least funny. That was a perfect teaser trailer for Toy Story. It doesn't give anything away, but it makes you laugh and say, I can't wait to see.
I immediately turned around and said, I've got to see this movie. If Key and Peele's in it, I've got to see it.
Well, so that is a perfect teaser trailer for Toy Story, which, by the way, if they fuck it up, it's just going to piss me off because we've talked about this on our show before. Toy Story 1, great. Loved it. Second one, getting a little nervous. But then I watched it, and they topped Toy Story 1. They deepened our love for the characters and the intensity and the bond with Andy and all that stuff. And then when they did Toy Story 3, I started talking about, please don't mess up Toy Story. And it was great. The emotional, catharsis you feel between those characters, and then when they're going down to the incinerator and they all reach out and they hold each other's hands, I'm like, this is true love. This is what what's the song that they sing, the Toy Story song?
I don't remember.
It was in every Pixar movie for a long time.
Yeah.
Why can't I remember it? It's like once we hear it, it's going to be burned in our brains.
I'm not much of a song guy.
Hold on a second, Brad. You got a friend in me.
I sing through my nose.
You can't make fun of Randy Newman. Randy Newman's one of the most famous singer-songwriters.
Sing.
So anyway, they got it. So then I thought, okay, that is the way they wrapped it up. It's a perfect trilogy. Leave it alone. Then you start hearing about Toy Story 4, and I'm like, these guys are going to ruin it.
It means there's going to be a 5 and a 6 all the way until it starts sucking.
Right. So the fact that they can hold it together for 3 movies is impressive because it's hard to make a good movie.
Yeah.
It's hard to make 3 good movies right in a row, back to back to back like that.
And as George Lucas and Steven Spielberg will deny, if you go past 3, you start shitting on it.
Maybe there are going to be aliens in Toy Story 4.
Ugh.
There are already aliens in Toy Story, but anyway. So here's the thing: we have to wait almost. Well, it says the summer of 2019. We don't have a.
We have to wait till summer.
It's summer, yeah. So it's coming up June, July, something like that. However, it's probably going to come out in June, which is when I think Pixar puts out things like they did The Incredibles. So we got a good sequel, Incredibles 2, and that was 15 years later. So maybe Toy Story 4 will be good. At this point, I really want to believe that they can't mess it up. However, every now and then we get a stinker from Pixar. It just seems like, I liked Coco and I liked Inside Out, but I haven't liked all the movies in between the Toy Story things. Anyway, so that's the Toy Story.
Was Moana?
That's a Disney movie.
I loved that movie.
Moana was good. Yeah.
It's one of the best 3D movies I've seen.
You mean CGI or 3D?
Well, both. It was just amazing. I don't know if we talked about it on the show, but the hair alone in that movie was just amazing.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
So, we weren't talking about Toy Story. We were talking about Wreck-It Ralph.
I know, but to be honest, we were running out of things to talk about with Wreck-It Ralph. I loved it and you hated it.
I didn't hate it. I just thought it was not as good as it could have been. But what I'm saying is the movie went from scene to scene to scene, almost in a way like a procedural, like trying to find. It was almost like it was set up like a mystery, trying to solve a mystery, and there was no adventure. Like Wreck-It Ralph had a villain, it had people trying to stop them, it had things they had to work against to solve their problem, and this is just them walking around going, "Oh, we can't die in the internet, or we won't exist anymore." And then there's just
even though we normally complain when a movie strays from a decent story structure, like the mythic structure where you gotta have all this stuff. I kind of enjoy that, like you said, the villain were the villain because they were sort of just self-destructive.
But if they're going to be their own villain, it needs to be more of a villain. Well, they need to be a
villain.
They like in the first movie when Ralph was, that's what he did. He just got he hulked out and smashed things like Hulk smash.
He got mad. Yeah.
He got mad and smashed things. He was self-destructive in that movie. He was doing things that he lost control of himself. This movie, it wasn't like that. And the only thing he had was the fact that he lost control of his self-control.
He technically broke everything.
Yeah, but it wasn't even by the end with that one thing that got out of hand. But still, he wasn't. He was obnoxious. Yeah. Why wouldn't she want to get away from him?
But
acting like that.
But in a great John C. Reilly way, where you still love him.
Now, when does Sherlock Holmes come out?
Yeah.
When does? Speaking of John C. Reilly,
that's a movie that could either be really great or very disappointing.
Probably going to be disappointing. I'm just telling you right now, I'm probably going to think it's disappointing.
I know. Yeah. I feel like they're trying too hard.
In terms of the premise, I get it. I would love to see that. But I don't know if we can sustain a whole movie. It's real hard to get back to Step Brothers because Step Brothers is so funny.
There's the joke where he puts the mustache on, and then John C. Reilly is what's his name? There's Sherlock Holmes and there's Watson.
Watson, yeah.
So as Watson, he's like, "Where did Sherlock go?" And then he takes his mustache off and goes, "I was here the whole time." What? I feel like I saw that with Pete Holmes doing Batman on YouTube already, so it kind of took the air out of that joke. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, they're funny. Will Ferrell is weird funny, and John C. Reilly is it's almost childlike and endearingly funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, John C. Reilly is. You're right. Childlike is a good word to describe him. That's why Step Brothers worked so well because they're both like little kids.
And Dr. Steve Brule.
Yeah,
he's
Steve
like
Brule.
A kid who has a show.
Dingus.
And each episode is like horse or whatever it is. Just one word. It's about horse.
Do people even know about Dr. Steve Brule?
If they don't, if you get one thing out of this episode, watch Dr. Steve Brule. What is it? Check it out. It's called
Check It Out with Dr. Steve Brule.
From Adult Swim. Check it out. It's like an old 80s
public access TV show. Yeah, so you can find many. I think the whole episodes because they were Adult Swim episodes. And they were like 11 minutes long, so you could watch the whole thing on YouTube or something. It's hilarious in a very weird way. Anyway, if you haven't seen Check It Out with Dr. Steve Brule, check it out.
Check it out.
Well, that's it for our movieisms.
Yeah. We're gonna cut you a break. Merry Christmas.
I want to see the Green. I want to see the Green Book, and I want to see.
Yes. I know.
Beautiful Boy. I still want to see Beautiful Boy.
Why do I feel like we saw it?
We saw a movie called Boy Erased.
Oh.
The gay conversion,
which was good.
It was good. It's good. Anyway, so I still want to see the Green Book and Boy Erased, and there's a couple other movies that are coming out, holiday season style movies. We have successfully navigated not seeing The Grinch.
I don't want to.
Everybody's.
I mean, it's one of those things where everyone's going to see it because their kids want to see.
Yeah.
So.
And that's why they keep making movies like that, because they know people need things to take their kids to see during the holidays.
Yeah.
Instead of making something else new.
Yeah, everyone's going to see Wreck-It Ralph. They don't care about our opinion.
Yeah.
So, why are we even doing this? I wrecked the show.
So, well, that's it for this week. If you agree or disagree, you're going to land on one side or the other. There's Brad, and then there's me. So, send us an email.
I loved it. He hated it.
I did not hate it.
Who's wrong?
I did not hate it.
I think
I just
I'm
thought
right.
it was mediocre.
I think you're a ball humbug.
Movieisms@gmail.com. I'm Bekemeyer on social media.
And I'm BaldingEwok.
Yeah.
Who's in good spirits for a change.
Yeah.
We're always polar opposite, no matter what.
Until next week, we will see you at the movies.
Probably not. I'm not going to say it.
Say it or I'm not ending the podcast.
How about I... the end.